I need to get ready. It's noon. I have been absorbed with work since I got up at 6 and I haven't washed my face or like done anything yet. So it's time to get ready for the rest of what is going to be a very busy day. This angle sucks. Today is another day where I was really tempted to work through lunch, but I don't want to because I know that I'm going to be totally burnt out. But I also, it's like one of those days where I've been working so much this morning, but I feel like I still haven't really marked anything off of my to-do list, which is really unfortunate. I just ate face wash, gross. I'm just doing face wash and then sunscreen today because I can't be bothered. Before I put on my watch, look at how bad my watch tan line is. We are going to pick something comfy to wear because that is the vibe for the day. I said vibe really weird, but like I've hardly even filmed and this is already chaotic. Also, where I'm picking my clothes from is chaotic, but like, once again, whatever. We're gonna go with purple because purple is happy and purple is fun. I don't know if I really have bottoms to match this though. What if I just wore, I mean, that's a lot of color, but is anyone gonna see my whole body? I don't know. Okay, update. I'm wearing my bathing suit underneath because I want to be able to just jump in the pool, and I'm going to wear these sweat shorts and then the t-shirt that I showed you earlier. So it's really just a comfy, cozy day. No one's gonna see me, so why not, you know, just be cozy. I forgot to film me doing my hair, but I'm doing the hairstyle that I literally have been living in lately, and that is just a slicked back bun because I can't be bothered. However, my number one tip to looking like you actually like put in effort and like you care is jewelry, especially if you're gonna have your hair up. I feel like wearing some dangling earrings of some sort, it just changes the whole vibe. And I also never used to be a necklace person, but I've been getting into necklaces a lot more recently, and it just makes it look like you have your shit together. It's lovely. I might put on makeup later. I don't really know. Right now, I am just going to put on a little bit of concealer that is way too light for me, but I'm going to just put that on the massive pimple that showed up on my chin, and I popped it yesterday, so what can you do? Actually, I know what you can do, just not pop your pimples, you know? What a novel concept. The fact that I'm using a pile of laundry that has been sitting there for more than a month and needs to be put away as a tripod is hilarious to me. It's only funny because I can't cry. Not my necklace just breaking on me. Oh my god, it totally snapped. What is happening? Okay, I guess I'm not wearing that one. The universe really said no, thank you. Let's try this one. Are you gonna break on me? I don't know how I feel about chain necklaces though. I feel like I don't know if it's a look. Anyways, hi everyone. I feel like I haven't really started this because it's just been absolute chaos, but it is my lunch break. I just got myself ready for the day, as you saw, and I am going to actually take my lunch break. But today I also wanted to show you guys finally the books that I have read in July, because this will be my third time trying to film this video. I've been trying to do it in a vlog format, but the past couple of days I just ended up doing a different vlog because things ended up happening and I was liking how it was going, and I would have had too much footage if I did the whole thing. So yeah, it's just been a lot. I also am on vacation from work tomorrow because I have a trip that I'm going on. I'm going to visit my sister this coming weekend, and because of that, I'm trying to like scramble to get everything done before I go on vacation. So like, that's lovely. We're fine. It's fine. It's a good day. I'm making myself a decaf coffee because I certainly do not need any more caffeine. I just can't. While that's brewing, let's talk about what I'm currently reading. So I finished this one yesterday. Totally broke my heart. This is why I decided to do just a reading vlog yesterday instead of the July TBR. It was so much more than I was expecting, and like, oh my goodness, it wrecked me. I listened to the audiobook and now I have moved on to Rise to the Sun, Rise of the Sun, Rise, something like that. I will put a picture of the cover on the screen, but I've been listening to that audiobook and it's by Leah Johnson. This is the second book that I will be reading of hers, and I'm really liking this one so far. Super cute, going by really quickly, so it's fun. It's set at like a music festival, and I think it's technically set in the fall. Music festivals to me have like summery vibes. And then I am physically reading The True Love Experiment by Christina Lauren. I'm not super far into it because I haven't been like reading out in the pool as much lately since I've been so freaking busy and the weather hasn't been as nice. But today it's actually quite sunny, so I think actually it just went behind a cloud. But like when it's sunny, I'm going to try and go in the pool. Obviously, since I have bathing suit on, that was weird, but I'm going to try and just float in the pool and get some reading done because I would like to get further into this one. I'm like 40 pages into it and I've been reading it for a couple of days, but it's taking me a while. So that's what is up with my August reads, technically. Work was a nightmare, but I'm in the pool now and on vacation, so I really can't complain. You know what's gonna happen? I'm gonna sit down to film this wrap up, which I think I keep on calling a TBR, at least in my head I do, but my camera battery is gonna die. Sorry, I was so distracted because there's like a million birds on my lawn. I'm so glad you can see them. Yeah, so many friggin' birds. I wonder if the one that we saved is there. Hello, little birds. I hope that he is, and I hope he is doing well. I've actually been sitting here for a very long time because I was waiting for the UPS man to deliver my package because he was literally sitting outside of the house for like 5 minutes. But now we are here and we are ready to do my July wrap up. Obviously, I had a very successful reading month. I am very happy about that, and I'm excited to share all the books that I read with you. I have a mix of pretty much everything here, and it was just kind of an all over the place reading month. I've been going with the flow, going with whatever like my mood says that I want to read, and just kind of picking up whatever I want in that moment, which is exactly what I plan to continue doing because it has been working out very well for me. And what do you know, it makes reading enjoyable. I fell into a trap of it kind of feeling like a job for a while there, but I am out of it and I am back in the groove. I don't know if it's more preferable that I go in order, but I'm just going to kind of pick stuff up. Also, if you can hear people, I have the windows open. That's also why the curtains keep moving, so sorry about that, but it's beautiful outside. Also, a little life hack for you. I YouTubed a TV screensaver, so it's like it's a frame, but it's not. We have a frame in our bedroom, but we don't have one down here, but I just like to use it as such, especially when you can see it in the background of videos. I don't know why I'm procrastinating on starting this, but let's just get going. I have a lot of summer themed reads here, the first of which is The Summer of Broken Rules by K.L. Walther. I have a reading vlog for almost all of these books because I have been vlogging so much, so if it's not out, then it is probably coming, or I just read it too quickly to include in a reading vlog. But this one was super hyped up on TikTok, and I was kind of seeing it everywhere. I think it was last year, but I obviously didn't get the chance to pick it up until this year, and I read this one in my like summer day in a life vlog, and it was perfect for that. Honestly, I read the bulk of it on that day when I was just lounging in the pool and enjoying this book, and then I ended up finishing it the very next day because I just kind of couldn't stop. It really sucked me into the story. Apparently it's based on Taylor Swift songs, but like, don't hate me, I haven't listened to a Taylor Swift song in years, honestly. I'm just not super into music. Like, I have neutral opinions, honestly. It's not my thing. But I know, like, so many people love, but like, don't hate me. I'm not saying that I don't like it. I'm just not super into music. I listen to audiobooks in my spare time, or I listen to lo-fi because it calms me down. So that being said, I missed all the Taylor Swift references, but I did enjoy this nonetheless. It is set in Martha's Vineyard, and it is about a character who lost her sister, and now she's going back there for the first time, and there's kind of like this, not a scavenger hunt sort of thing, but this game that they're all playing. Her cousin is getting married, she's dealing with grief, but we also, of course, have a little romance plot line there, which is a lot of fun. Excuse you. So this was kind of the perfect, like, quintessential summer read. There are so many interruptions, which I don't know what I was expecting. I'm filming with windows open and everything, but whatever. I also recently read Before We Were Innocent by Ella Berman. This is totally out of my comfort zone. Not necessarily what I would usually go for, because it's like an adult sort of thriller, not domestic thriller, but it's kind of more of a mysterious story. It wasn't really thriller thrilling, but you are trying to kind of like piece together what happened to these characters. It is three best friends who went to Greece like 10 years ago for a summer, but only two of them ended up coming back. And there has been this whole mystery, kind of like crime sort of thing surrounding that. And they haven't seen each other. The two surviving people haven't seen each other in a very long time, but now they're finally seeing each other again because she just like shows up at her house, and she had a fight with her girlfriend, but like it turns out that there's actually kind of more to it than that. This was really interesting because it was kind of about like the portrayal of women by the media and young girls specifically, and it did make me think about a lot of things, but it wasn't like my favorite, but I did like it. It's just, take my opinion on this one with a grain of salt, if you will, because it's not the genre that I would usually read. But my main like issue with it was I found that it was kind of boring. There was simultaneously a lot happening, but not really. Like it's flashing back to then and then now, and I just kind of wanted a more concise story. I need to not talk so much about all these books because I have a lot to get through. Next is The Atlas 6 by Olivia Blake. I read this one for my book club, and I was so thrilled to read this with the book club. It was a great one to discuss. We had a great discussion for our live show at the end of the month, and I did actually include The Atlas Paradox on my TBR for August, but I think I'm going to hold off on reading that one until it's closer to the release of the third book. I'm not a big sequel person, but I know that if I like read it now and then the sequel comes out in January, I'm going to forget everything. So I think it might be best if I wait until like November, December to read it. But this had a lot of intrigue. I really was interested mostly in the characters. I'm still not fully sure that I got this story, but it did like completely suck me in. And this is a dark academia story dealing with like secret societies. Once again, it's a TikTok hyped one actually. So if you haven't heard of it, I would be surprised, but it is definitely interesting. It's doing a lot. It was unique, but yeah, I think it may have gone over my head in some instances. Of course, you guys know by now that I read The Wishing Game by Meg Schaefer this month because I did a whole reading vlog reading this one, as well as two other books that I will get to shortly, but this is definitely a new all-time favorite of mine. I absolutely fell in love with it. I have been talking about it nonstop, so I don't think that I need to say it much further. I will have that reading vlog linked down below if you guys wanted to check it out, but honestly, if you haven't read this book yet, please do. Please check it out. It is such a beautiful story. I cannot recommend it enough. Like, I just loved this one so much. And in that same vlog, I was also reading Same Time Next Summer by Annabelle Monaghan. This is a childhood friends to lovers story, kind of a la not Meet Me at the Lake. That's the most recent one. Every Summer After by Carly Fortune. So it's been a long time, and now the main character is coming back to her parents' beach house and seeing, of course, the guy that she once like loved, and they were best friends, and then it turned into love. But now she's actually there with her fiance. So obviously that is going to kind of like make it difficult, but I found that this one didn't have the cheating trope so much, and I know that was a main critique with Every Summer After. So if that's something that really bothers you, I think that you would have a lot better luck with this one because it wasn't that, in my opinion at least. I just realized actually I only read one YA book this month, which is kind of wild, but honestly I've just been reaching for adult, and I've just been kind of going with whatever I want to reach for. I also did a reading vlog talking about what to read next after like reading books that I loved, such as these, and in that vlog I ended up picking up these two, and I did finish them. So The Daydreams by Laura Hankin, I ended up enjoying this one a lot, and I don't know if it's because I went into it without really having expectations because I hadn't heard all that much, and then the reviews that I did see were kind of just like mediocre, but I had a fun time with this one. I liked it a lot. It kind of honestly, in a way, reminds me of Before We Were Innocent because it's dealing with like media portrayal and how they're treating young girls. And what it is this old TV show from the 2000s, like think Nickelodeon or Disney Channel, or as it was in Canada, YTV and Family Channel, as what I'm used to. But think like those stories that you've been hearing recently, it's those stars and it's them reuniting for a reunion show. And it's, I don't even know how many years it's been, I guess 20. Oh my god, the 2000s was 20 years ago. That's pretty wild. I don't know why I just realized that, but anyways, 20 years ago, they had this show that they were the stars of, like kind of like Hannah Montana, Zoe 101, that sort of thing, and now they're exposing what happened to them then because there was this whole blow up at the end, their like series finale, and at basically the height of their stardom, they ended up just not doing it anymore. So now you're getting answers, and honestly, you'll be left with a lot of questions, but I think this was a really good portrayal of something that you don't really see very often. I feel like I will often see stories about celebrities, but it's more so in the vein of like they're famous now, not kind of like they were child stars. So that was a nice twist. Next is The Vanishing Half by Britt Bennett. This I have heard so many amazing things about, so I was really looking forward to picking it up, and it was a very fascinating story. It made me think. It's about I didn't really realize fully what it was about. So it's about sisters, and you start with them like they've grown up in the same small southern town where everyone knows each other, and they're both black, and that's kind of how they've been defined, is by their blackness. But then one of them ends up kind of running away, and she ends up tricking everyone into believing that she's white. So she ends up living the rest of her life being white and has a daughter who doesn't even know that she is black. On the other hand, the one who stays in that small town, she obviously is fully living in her blackness, and she has a daughter as well, obviously knows that she's black. So it is just such an interesting contrast between the two of them, and I was fascinated by the story, honestly. It is really, really genius, and I think it's definitely worth the read. I forgot that I was talking about Wanderlust before, sorry, I got distracted, but Wanderlust is the other book that I was reading in that reading vlog alongside the Daydreams, and I did end up liking this one a lot, and I'm just trying to keep Archer from getting into things because that's what he's the best at now, right? Oh, thank you so much. But this is about a character who ends up winning a Radio 1, like BBC Radio 1 contest that allows her to go on this trip around the world, and the catch to that is that they choose some random person from her contacts and she has to go with them. So they end up picking this guy that she met like a year or whatever ago and just never ended up contacting again, and both of them agree, so they go on this trip around the world. And obviously you're going to have a romance story in there, but there was also a lot of deeper things going on in here, and a lot of things with the character's job, like her being judged for certain things, and she's kind of in like a difficult situation, but she definitely made some decisions that were really frustrating to me. But overall, I did really like this one. One of my main critiques is definitely that there wasn't a lot of the travel element. I understand when you're going to all these different places, you can only really show so much of it, but there was a lot that was kind of left out of it. Next is Summer Reading by Jen McKinley. This is my second Jen McKinley book that I have read, and I read this one by the pool. As you can see, I'm pretty sure I vlogged while I was reading this one. Honestly, I can hardly keep track because I've kind of become like a daily vlogger, but I'm really liking it, so I'm just kind of rolling with it. So this is a story about a main character with dyslexia, and she also has ADHD actually, so I loved reading that like neurodivergent representation because that's something that I've been learning a lot more about myself, so it was really nice to see it in a character and like fictionalized. And the author, like there's a whole author's note at the beginning, you could tell that she really did her due diligence with research. And one of the coolest things about this book is that it's actually set in a way that is like friendly for people who are dyslexic, so I really appreciated that. I'm not dyslexic, but I thought that was such a nice touch. And essentially the main character doesn't like reading. She has never enjoyed it because she's dyslexic and had a lot of issues growing up, and she ends up having this summer fling with a bookworm. And this one was also actually set on Martha's Vineyard. It was really cute. I did find that sometimes it was trying to do too much and things didn't really fully connect in my opinion, but it was a fun summer read as I was expecting. And just two more books, which are also romances because that's just been the vibe lately. So From the Jump by Lacey Walden. This is once again my second book by Lacey Walden. I read The Layover last year and I really liked that one, but I ended up liking this one even more actually because Friends to Lovers is one of my favorite tropes, and this was Friends to Lovers done amazingly. It was so good, so fun. It's a character who's trying to kind of break out of her shell. She has put these certain like limitations and expectations on herself, and she finally ends up going on this vacation with all her friends who always go without her. She goes on this vacation to South Africa, and then when they come back, it ends up kind of being a disaster. So it is really interesting. The romance was like amazing. There were like some steamy parts that I was like, oh my God, I loved it. And yeah, it was really good. And the final fiction book that I read this month before I get to the self-help books that I read is The Roughest Draft by Emily Wibberley and Austin Sigmund Broca. I'm glad that I finally read this because I have had quite a few of their books on my TBR recently and I just have not been reading them. I don't know why, but I really liked this one. This is kind of another case where other people were not really a huge fan of this book. It seems to have lower ratings, but I had a really great time reading this one. It's about two characters who used to write together, and I thought originally that they were a couple, but they weren't. They were never a couple, but they used to write together. Then there was kind of this whole blow up that happened, and then they end up coming together to write one last final book. And it is just this whole like masterclass in slow burn, in my opinion, to be entirely honest, and it just worked for me. I liked this one a lot. So those are all the fiction books that I read. As far as self-help books, I read 5 this month. So I read Alan Carr's Easy Way, like emotional eating, which I wasn't going to talk about because I was like, I don't know, it seems weird, and I'm not going to dwell on it because I know everyone has their own relationship with food, but this is the author of a really famous book about quitting smoking, and as I have kind of mentioned, I do have binge eating disorder, so for me, I found this to be a really like helpful read. I definitely took from it what I wanted to, or not what I wanted to, but what I needed, what kind of spoke to me, which is what I feel like I do with all self-help books. So I did like that one. I also read The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg, which I definitely didn't enjoy quite as much as other people did. I felt like it had a lot of case studies, and that's just not really my vibe with self-help books, but it also had a lot of like really helpful information for me too. Then The 5 a.m. Club by Robin Sharma. I read this one in the same vlog as The Wishing Game in Same Time Next Summer, and I liked this one a lot. It definitely kind of near the end, I was like, okay, but it reads much more like a fictional story. Like it is a fiction story, but also a self-help book simultaneously. And I'm someone who has always been trying to wake up at 5 a.m. and this gave me a lot of tips on how to do that and also how to make the most of the time when you are up early, which was nice. Then I DNF'd The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle, and I think I mentioned this one in my August TBR, but this just wasn't for me, honestly. If it spoke to you, that's awesome, but for me, it just, I don't know. I didn't connect with this one at all. And then finally, The Gifts of Imperfection by Brene Brown. I enjoyed this one, but I felt like it was kind of information that I've heard elsewhere, which isn't like necessarily a bad thing. It is bound to happen when you're reading a lot of self-help books and kind of like researching a lot of the same topics. But I do like Brene Brown. Like she seems like a really cool person. So there's that. So those are all the books that I read in July. This clip is so much longer than I wanted it to be. So yeah, I'm sorry that this video is going to be really long. And I'm sorry to future me for having to edit it. My vlogs are gonna be so boring. I'm just making dinner right now, by the way. My vlogs are gonna be so boring in the winter because I don't do anything. Like, I know that people, and this is kind of something I ran into when I was doing reading vlogs. Now at least I have a whole house. But when I was still living at home with my parents, most of my vlogging would be done from my room, except like during the day, I would, you know, vlog from the rest of the house, but I wouldn't really vlog from the backyard because our backyard was very open and all the neighbors could see me. I'm currently massaging broccoli. I shouldn't have picked that up. That was dumb because the dog is right there. But anyways, people are like, vlog outside of the house, blah, blah, blah. And I don't want to. Like, one, I don't leave the house all that often. Like, honestly, I don't go places very often. Number two, I don't like holding a camera and talking to it in public. People just stare at you and I'm way too self-conscious, and especially here when then someone might try and talk to me and then they're going to speak to me in French and I'm going to be like, what? And it's just going to be my worst anxious nightmare. I will, however, do what I did in my August TBR video, which is where I just like took B-roll clips. That I can 100% do. So I hope that's okay with you guys. And obviously it's literally only August. I don't know why I'm thinking about this now. There's literally plenty of time to go, but it was just a thought that I had. I am going to try and like make a bucket list and still do fun things since the winter here is so freaking long. We'll see. It's fine. I get ahead of myself and I need to remind myself of a quote that I really enjoy, which is focus on the step ahead of you, not the whole stair. Because I'm always looking at the staircase and thinking about how I'm going to fall down the staircase. But of course I'm going to fall down if I'm just thinking about falling down, you know? Like that's when you fall. I didn't mean for this to get so philosophical, but it did. Anyways, I have some chicken here that has been marinating. I have my broccoli. I'm waiting for the oven to preheat, but I just needed an easy dinner. And once the oven is preheated, I will heat up our little, I hate saying grill actually, because that's very American. Barbecue is what we say here, or at least like where I live. Speaking of barbecue though, this is our little barbecue. This thing, best purchase I have made. It literally made its way to our counter, even though it's large. Like that is telling you how much I love it. This angle though is crap, but I keep on using it, whatever. It's the Ninja Foodie air fryer grill thingy, so it has, like, it literally is like a barbecue, and we do have a barbecue outside, but it scares me, and I don't want to use it by myself, and we just never got propane this year because we've been using this, and this thing is perfect for during the winter when I don't want, like, no one wants to go outside and barbecue. No one wants to do it. So now that we have this thing, it's great, and it air fries. It has like a little preset thing. It has a probe, so then you know things are cooked fully. I love it, honestly. It does a really good job. I almost just flashed the whole neighborhood. Like, so you know how I had my bathing suit on underneath of my t-shirt? Well, I was outside taking the dogs out, and I was like, oh, it's hot, and I'm gonna go in the pool later anyways. So I went to go and take my shirt off, but I took my bathing suit top off because I didn't want to, like, it was leaving water stains, so I just had water stains on my boobs, and the oven is done preheating, but while I was filming my little, like, July wrap-up, I didn't want to have giant water stains on my boobs. I get it. So essentially, I just, like, took off my bathing suit top, so I don't have anything on underneath the t-shirt, and I was just like, woo, and then I was like, oh god. Yeah, so that was really close. Anyways, I'm gonna make a quick little salad, and then I'm going to eat dinner, and then I am going to go back in the pool because that's all I do right now. That's why I was thinking of winter being boring, because all I do right now is go in the pool as much as humanly possible. Apparently I can start vlogs but not finish them, so it's the next day and I'm like scrambling to get a bunch of stuff edited before I am away for a little bit, so that's why I look like this. But that's going to be all for today's video. I think July was a really great reading month. I'm really happy with how it went, and August has been really good so far too, so I'm hoping it will continue that way. But thank you guys so much for watching today's video. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in another new one soon. Bye!